Shall we talk about Wellalage? Because he didn't get to bat
Yeah.
today, but was absolutely brilliant yet again. And there's obviously lots of comments about him. He got 4 wickets today. He was the kind of pick of the
I mean,
bowlers.
that ball to Steve
Um,
Smith, I mean, wow.
yeah,
That is just the
yeah,
stuff of dreams there. And he's always at the batters. I think that's the thing that's so good about him is he's always making them play. He's so smart. He's varying speed. He's varying flight. He's really, sort of the globetrotting he's been doing has paid off. He's bowled in all sorts of conditions all over the world, and you can really see that he's a smart cricketer, just like Potham, just like Charith, picking up the game and what is required of him at the international level very quickly. Again, also like Theekshana there. And I think now we're getting into the headache of if you have 3 world-class spin bowlers, how do you all get them in a side? And how do you get them in a side outside of Asia? Because then you don't want to be making the decision of saying, all right, we're going to leave this guy out.
yeah. I totally agree with you. I think it's a great problem and issue to have. Um, so the thing about all three of our kind of spinners who were on display today, that and actually you can bring Kirsten Mendelsohn to this, you bring Hasaranga to this, and I think you bring Patterman to this, right? In those 6 players, we have got players who aren't just happy enough to kind of go through the motions, turn up, get into the team, put the shirt on,
Yeah.
and post about it. I think we've got players there who want to come on, affect a game, and win matches for Sri Lanka, right? We've got real match winners, and that's nothing to do with their talent. That's a mentality thing, right? We've got players who come on, and you hear people talk about it in commentary. It's like, oh, how often do you see Wellalage he's always in the thick of things. Patham's always in the thick of things. It's because they're doing that to themselves. They're not shying away on the pitch. And I just think that's the culture that we kind of lost a little bit after certain players retired
Yeah.
in 2015. And that is actually, we've spent since then, basically trying to cultivate and bring back into the side. It's a culture you see when you look at all the most winning teams in the world, absolutely is part of the DNA and runs through it, right?
Yeah.
Well, ideally we need, and I think you can chuck a Sita Fernando into that as well, right? As one of those other, he's joining that set of 6. Now we've got 7. It's like, right, go find me 2 or 3 more other players who can do that, and then we're there. Some people might say Kamindu Mendes. We need to possibly talk about that, but about
Yeah.
he's had a bit of a quiet time recently. So, but that's the kind of attitude that we need, and that's why I think it's essential that we find a way to get all 3 of those in. I mean, I think, considering that we're just over a year away from a T20 World Cup, that it's incredible how few T20s Wellalage international
Yeah.
T20s at least Wellalage has played, right?
Yeah. I think that's a big thing. And I think where he bats is also going to be a big question. It would be great, since the World Cup is going to be played in Sri Lanka and India, to have him in the side. But if the pitch is flat, what are you going to do? And plus, you have Nuwan Tushara and Matisha Patirana. And when you're thinking about that T20 side, I also want to include them in that list of guys who have relentlessly worked to improve their game and who want to win at all costs. And I think that's special. So I think figuring out where is it best that we deploy him. And part of me thinks that we should use him up the order. I think that the talent's there. I think he's been working on his power hitting. You can see it. There was a no ball, I think, early in his innings. The first match, was it? Yeah. And he just, slapped it square for 6. And so he's working on that. And I think he is such a quick learner that, okay, maybe he's not ready right now to come in and bat higher up, but I think he'll adapt to that if you give him that opportunity. And I'll add that in the T20 franchises generally bat him at 4 or 5. So they're realizing that as well. So how do we unlock that potential? And if you're batting him at 4 or 5, right, or 3 or whatever you want to do, it gives you a ton of flexibility. You can play an extra batter if it's a spin-friendly pitch. if it's a flat wicket, you can play an extra pacer. You get so many different options in terms of how you can structure your squad just by the fact that he can do so many things. And we'll add in his fielding because he's a gun fielder too.